saying it.
Yeah, he's off.
All right,
There he is.
now I'm here.
Now you're here. Hey, Herb,
Yes, sir.
when we were in college, did you come from Langhorne, Pennsylvania?
No, Lancaster.
Lancaster, okay. I knew it started with an L, and I knew it was in Pennsylvania.
Well, you New Jersey people don't know anything about crossing the river. That's what.
That's true.
That's it.
No, we do know. We know there's a big sign there that says,
Welcome to
Trenton makes, the world takes.
That's it.
I went to, my daughter recently moved just outside of town next to Langhorne, is why I asked. And we've been going over there, and I rented a U-Haul truck to take a bunch of her stuff that was here at our house to her new house. And the guy rented the truck from said, where are you going? And I told him, he says, Trenton makes, the world takes. He said, I made that sign. He said his father designed it, and he was a welder or something that worked on, making the sign and putting it up.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Andy just loves snow so much, you had to move to California.
Andy, you're muted.
You're muted now.
I think he was trying to see if you were muting and might hit his button instead.
Yeah. So how's everything with you?
Good. Good.
Good.
I have
I'm
no
back.
problems.
I'm back.
You're back?
Oh, good.
And my sister was calling me from Pittsburgh
Oh, yeah.
and wondering why we had 7.5 inches of rain in the last 6 weeks.
Well,
I have not seen that since I've been out here 40 years. I have never seen that. I've never lived in a place in California that had that much rain. Nope. And we need it. We
I was going to say, did it help at all?
Yeah, they haven't said yet whether it's going to help. It's got to help. Anything would help. But
Yeah.
I mean, they have up in the most important places are way up in north in the high Sierras, where they measure the amount of snow that's fallen. It's called the snowpack. And if it's has to be a certain amount, and then we can be sure that as it melts during the summer, it supplies water to the aqueducts and mostly the farmers. The people only use about 10% of the water that's available. The farm uses the other 80, 85, 90%.
Wow.
yeah, there's a lot of controversy surrounding that too.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is, and there should be.
Yeah. Some of those, big
And they don't
conglomerates.
pay for it.
Yeah.
They get it free.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't have any droughts or anything that way. All you get is tornadoes, right?
Yeah, as
What's
soon as I
that?
can get out of California, I will get out of California. We have some things holding us up, but if Lori's dad wants to move, and he's in his 80s, and looks like he's going to be around for a while, then he wants to move, we'll move. If he doesn't, Lori will stay with you, and I understand that. My wife will stay with.
Yeah.
That's the best vows ever looked.
Yeah,
Where would you move?
probably to where my daughter lives, where Ellie lives in Phoenix area,
Oh, okay.
Mesa,
Hey,
Scottsdale.
Val.
or something.
Hi, guys.
Val?
Hey Val, how are you?
Hey, good. I got to go about 6:30. I have to run to one of the grandkids' houses tonight.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we got a couple of other guys that are coming on a little bit later because they were at a grandson's basketball game.
Well, we had excitement in Gering High School today at I think it was a TikTok prank that went on, and it went at least I think it was in Grand Island and Valentine, some other counties where they called a on-campus shooter. So there was police and everything. Yeah, it wasn't very good. We didn't know it was a prank for quite a while, so it was a lot of nervous
well,
people.
that's not considered legal to do that kind of shit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It just disrupted the police force and the whole school system and everything else. So
Yeah.
besides Gering schools were shut down, all the Scotts Bluff were in lockdown too. So
Boy,
The idiots out there.
yeah. And I think it came from China. I think they're testing to see what they can get away with and how soon people bunch up and where they go and that kind of stuff. I don't trust a lot of stuff that's going on right now. So
Yeah, they had that same thing out here in Barnegat, where I live.
okay,
Somebody called in about a month ago or so, called in school about there was someone was seen with a gun on the grounds or something, and
yeah,
they evacuated the school and took them all to the safe, place, all the schools in town,
yep,
and put them
yep,
all into a particular place with police all over, and everything turned
yeah,
out to be a prank.
yeah, ugly
Except
prank.
this time they found out who did it, and
Oh,
it's
good.
be very funny to him.
Yeah, I hope they castrate him.
Yeah. Hi,
I don't
Gary.
know. Hi, Gary.
Right.
I
Gary,
don't, did you guys hear that they convicted that lawyer on 2 counts of murder?
oh, did they? I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it took them about 4 hours, and they came out of there and said guilty, guilty,
Yeah.
guilty.
Yeah,
I was surprised that they went that quickly.
I wasn't.
I
But
mean,
you know
knew he
something,
was
they're calling
guilty.
for a mistrial because of that.
Yeah. Well, they asked for a mistrial.
Yeah, but I don't know
The
if they
judge
get.
said no.
Who was this?
The lawyer in South Carolina that killed his wife and son.
Oh,
So he got guilty on 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of using a firearm.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long time. He probably won't. If he goes, he's not, and they keep it. California, he'd be out in about a month. But
But
But,
you know you're in trouble when you say I'm not a murderer, I'm an embezzler.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't help. Or when you say, no, I wasn't there, and the video shows you there,
Shows you there. Yeah.
minutes before. Hi, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Sorry for my tardiness.
Yeah.
you're forgiven. Take the position, okay? I don't have any of mine.
Assume the position.
In the position.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
see
a
that?
different position.
Funny. I
hey,
don't think.
Morris.
Yeah.
The game tonight ended in a tie.
Oh,
I just got back 5 minutes ago
Yeah.
from my 2 grandsons playing a basketball game.
yeah. They don't do overtime, huh?
No, for their junior high school.
Okay.
And the other team had 3 kids that had to be 6 foot, 6'2". And my grandson's team is about 5'5". And they just battled them, and came out to a tie. And it took me about an hour and 45 minutes to get there, and about an hour to get home. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good night.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a good night.
Sounds
Where
like
was it?
Excuse me?
Where was it?
Down in a town called Pittsgrove, New Jersey.
Okay.
Do you know where Vineland is? Vineland is in South Jersey.
It's
It's
Pittsgrove where you get on to get to the bridge.
near Route 40.
Yeah, yeah.
Goes from the Delaware Memorial Bridge all the way into Atlantic City.
Right.
But it's down towards the Delaware Memorial Bridge. They live about 45 minutes from us. But no, exciting game. I'll tell you, exciting game.
That's good.
But no, things are well. What can I say?
Hey, Andy, with all
Yes,
that
sir.
rain you've been getting, do you have rain barrels set up outside to capture some of it?
There are some people who have cisterns, where, but not. I've seen it, but with the price of water going skyrocketing, and price of natural gas, I wouldn't blame anybody. But you've got to be careful. What's in that water, you don't know. I mean, what we breathe is also in that water.
Yeah.
You don't. But I know that I'm sure. I live on a golf course, and we have a lake that accumulates water. They call it gray water. That they do all the golf course, the tees and everything. And they do use that for their water. And I literally live right across from it, and it's pretty full. It's pretty
Hmm.
cool. Yeah. So
How much snow have you gotten out there?
they've had the number is astronomical. I don't know what it is, but usually it's like I heard it like sometimes they have like 600 feet or something like that, and they're I mean really they really when you go up to up into the high Sierras where they measure it, it's up
Yeah.
way up north in beautiful area by Yosemite. They said the Yosemite is closed. Yosemite is closed from August all the way through July usually because you can't get in there. But they had there's massive amounts of snow this year, and they go up. They put this big pole in the ground, and they walk. What's the ceremony? I think, and like
Yeah.
and you like at the ground up, and they come out and they go, well, there it is. And like 2 years ago, you could see the ground. Now they've got.
Yeah.
We have a big problem with Lake Mead and with several of the major lakes that are very, 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 very low. And
Yeah.
Colorado River, we have a house on the Colorado River, and we like to go out there and go boating. And it's a shallow river where we are most of the time, and it's more shallow, last year than it ever was. Now we'll have plenty of water.
Well, Andy, you were talking about those poles in 62 and 63 when I lived in Idaho. As you would go over some of the passes towards Jackson Hole and Yellowstone, they would have poles along the side of the road measuring the depth of the snow. They didn't start measuring it. The top of it would be painted white and red.
Yeah.
They didn't start measuring it until it hit about 6 or 7 feet.
Wow.
And that was all along the roads. And if you could see, one color was 7 feet, and another color was 8 feet. And
well, in the ski country in Colorado, when I went to Iron Scott, we used to go at least twice. I went down to we went to Aspen once, and we went to Vail once. We stayed in the Vail. I never forget it. I still have pictures of it. The Vail Village Inn. It was a dormitory essentially, and we stayed there, and we rented a snowmobile. Me and Lee Judy.
oh, okay.
Who's hidden out somewheres. Val knows more about it than we do. But anyway, so they have they have pictures of the road, and literally, the snow has got to be like 20 feet above the road.
On both sides.
Both sides.
After I graduated, I worked for Colorado State University for a while, but I was on the western slopes of the Rockies in Grand Junction. And I used to have to come over once a month for meetings up at school. And you're right. I mean, the roads over the mountains were just 2 lanes. And all of a sudden you would see an empty hole in it where somebody went right off.
Oh, God.
And, it was what it was.
Yeah.
This year, how much snow have you had, Marsh?
None.
Yeah, New York's
Me
New York
too.
and New Jersey's.
I shouldn't say that. 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, I looked out the window and it was lightly snowing. I mean, barely a flurry for about half an hour. That's it. That's the only thing we've had.
Yeah, it didn't even cover the ground
Yeah, no.
here.
I don't miss that at all.
You don't.
Well, we didn't until yesterday. I'm sitting out there outside, getting out of my car, and it was sleeting and quote close to snow as we're going to get here. And it was 38 degrees almost the whole day, so couldn't have really been real snow, but it was sleeting. I've got a couple of videos on my Facebook page that I took, and it was coming down. I was, and we have mountains around here that you can see very clearly during the day, and they're right to the bottom, right to the very bottom of the slope. You can see it's all snow now. It's really a beautiful sight, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Andy, be glad you don't live in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, God. Well, they expect that,
Yeah.
45 inches, 145, 450 inches a year or something crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, they get 10 feet.
Yeah.
I was just in Buffalo. They didn't have any snow.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was my winter vacation. My wife took me to Buffalo.
Lucky you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. At least we
And were
didn't
you-
have, going across Canada, at least we didn't have 60-mile-an-hour winds and whiteouts.
Yeah.
But we were lucky.
Well, did it all melt? I mean, it was nasty up there.
They've had 4 feet a couple times, but they know how to handle it. And
Yep.
there's a familiar face.
Yeah,
I
it won't
only
let me
have,
get. Go ahead, Bob.
I only have 4 guys on my screen. How do you get everybody's picture on there? Or don't you have it either?
I don't have it because I went in on
I've
my
got 7.
phone. It wouldn't
I
let
got
me
7.
go in on my laptop.
I've got 7, Bob.
How do you get them though?
You, up top where it says view, if
Yeah.
you click on that,
Where does it say view?
did you say
I
view up
got-
top?
I don't have anything that
It
says
could be on the
view.
side or top, depending on what you're.
Not
Yeah.
on the picture, on the thing right below the very top of the screen. It says view, and there's 4 little or 9, little dots.
Yeah, you can click on gallery and it'll show everybody.
Is it different for a phone, for a cell phone? I don't know.
He's
Yeah,
on
my
the-
phone. I see Herb when he talks or Andy when he talks, but my laptop said I need an update, so I've done it, but then it doesn't let me get in on it, and I've gotten in on it every time before.
Huh.
Yeah, I had to download an update just now, but I'm on it now.
I keep trying while I keep the phone on.
Yeah.
Well, Bob just disappeared off my screen. There's a table.
There's a table. Right?
Yeah.
I see a table for Bob.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
He just disappeared.
he did.
You
It's a
with us,
magic.
Bob?
Yeah,
It's a
that's
magic
the
guy.
dining room table.
Listen, I got a thing. I don't remember whether I brought this up or not one time, but I'm looking for help on something. And some of you guys that were in the military, a long time might have some good ideas. I'll show you. This sword, if you can see it,
That looks dangerous.
You must be much older than us if you were in the cavalry.
That's a scabbard.
Oh, I got it now.
this is an officer's sword. It's got the guy's name on it, 1938. And he was in at that point, he was either in the Army or in the National Guard. The unit he was in the National Guard got activated and brought into the Army. And it's got his name and everything else on it. And I've been looking for him. My son-in-law found it at a construction site about a month ago.
Whereabouts?
He didn't know what to do with it, and he asked me if I could, sell it for him. So I took it over to the antique shop, and that guy offered me $250 for it. And I said, no, I just wanted to know more about it. He didn't have much more, but he said it's in really good shape and so forth. The engraving is all very good. So what I'm trying to do is see if I can find this guy's relatives. And if I can, then I'll give him the sword.
Nice.
Great.
Full name in there.
So
What is
far, I contacted, there's a website that runs that unit up in New York, and he didn't have any information. He wasn't in the list of, active duty people at that time that I did it, but that formed a year after. So if he was in the National Guard and didn't, go into that unit, he might have wound up somewhere else or something. But if anybody has any ideas on how to, I can
Put
give you
his
some
name
basic
in.
information. I can
Put his
send it
name
to you
in with
to
the
run it down.
obituary.
Oh.
Do you know if it was New York or not? Does it have?
Oh yeah, no, it was absolutely New York. I know I don't have it handy right here, but I know the name of the unit he was in, because it's got it on there. The unit he was in is part of the engraving.
Get a hold of the state of New York National Guard Bureau,
Okay,
because the National Guard is under the control of the state,
right,
and all their units are under the tutelage of the governor.
right,
Now, your Army Reserve is strictly federal,
right. That's why you and
under the
I,
President of the United States.
yeah,
But no, I would get a hold of the Bureau of National Guard up in New York
Really?
State. And see if they can trace it back.
yeah. See, that's and the National Guard there, was sucked into the Army in 1939, and I knew that. But I figured if he was in there, he probably would have gotten pulled in with it, right in the beginning, getting ready for World
It's
War II.
probably a ceremonial one that he was
No,
getting.
it is. It's an officer's ceremonial sword.
Okay,
That's why I was saying probably he's not even alive anymore. So if you put his name in on the internet with obituary, it might show up, give a little history of him, and tell you who his family is.
Yeah, well, that's what I was hoping if I could find information on him, I might be able to find an obituary somewhere or something of that nature that would then list family members.
There's a lot of airplanes, in hangars around the country that are put on display by charitable organizations, and they have all kinds of information about who's was in the area that they were in. Like,
Yeah.
I know there's one right outside Mesa, Arizona. And I'm on their list. But you go in there and then they have all kinds of information about who's doing what, especially with aircraft, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep searching. What I'll do is I'll send you, the information I've gotten. If anybody's got any particular ideas or anything, they can let me know.
just do me a favor. Let me
Yeah.
know his name and unit and all, and I'll see if I can trace it down.
All right. Yeah, I'll send it to you afterwards because I don't have the sheet I wrote out handy, and it would take me
Okay.
too long to read it off the scroll. But it's in really good shape. So I figured I'd give myself a year to try and find him,
That's
or his relatives.
a pretty neat thing to do.
So
And try Facebook. You never can tell what you'll find on Facebook.
yeah, I haven't looked on Facebook yet, but it's
Antique Road, not Antique Road Show. What is it? Ancestry.com. That also, there's a newspaper.com connected with that.
right.
And I don't know whether you have those or you could go to the library,
Yeah,
but it shows from up in, if you know in the area he was, you could look at the newspapers and they'll have obituaries.
yeah,
Where he could be buried, his whole thing. So.
yeah. All right. Well, so I'll send that out. Anybody, Gary's, I'll send you the stuff and
Okay. Yeah. you
Go
can-
ahead. John, it appears your wife let you come in out of the garage.
Yes.
you're-
Yes. That was very kind. Very kind.
Of your wife.
Yes.
Let you in the house. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a good girl.
Tell me, I'm interested in your trip to Alaska. You said it was 2,500 miles you're going?
Yeah, it's we're planning it now. We go next year, 4 neighbors, trailers, pulling our trailers, and it's the Alcan Highway,
Yeah.
Alaska Canadian Highway, and from Boise, Star, Idaho, where I am, it's about 2,500 miles one way, and we'll just go and take it as it comes.
what time of year are you going?
I think July.
Yeah.
That's what we're
That's
planning
the
on.
time to go.
Yeah, I don't know if it still is. That Alcan Highway used to be mostly paved.
Yeah.
But the part that wasn't paved, if you got it the wrong time of year, it was just mud.
I think at this point, Morris, they've got it pretty well paved, but it doesn't mean you're not going to run into a washout or
Yeah,
whatever.
should be a great trip.
Don't you have to make reservations for campsites along the way?
Yeah, I've got a neighbor that does everything. It's fantastic. So
Uh,
they'll do that. And then if we have to dry camp, we all have generators, so we'll dry camp. And
uh-huh.
I know if we see any bears, we'll try and shoot them, and they'll take our guns and shoot us. So it's good.
So how long will that take you?
I think it could take 6 weeks one way, with camping.
Yeah.
It could take 3
right.
months. And if something happens where we have to turn around, we turn around, but it's just a goal.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
you get some good pictures and video, and if you get near a Wi-Fi, send them in.
Okay. Yeah. That's good stuff. We're going up to the panhandle of Idaho August 13th for 10 days, and that's about 40 minutes from the Canadian border. And just, different lakes, and it's just good stuff.
Yeah.
In the Coeur d'Alene area, is that what you're talking about?
Past Coeur d'Alene, yeah, but we'll stop at Coeur d'Alene on the way up.
Most of the cops from Los Angeles, when they retired, I mean, a huge number of people from Southern California usually moved to Northern Idaho in the Coeur d'Alene area. People were saying, you don't ever try and rob a restaurant. It's like a restaurant in Coeur d'Alene, because you may have big problems with half the people in there probably armed.
Well, I'd say that's true in all of Idaho.
Yeah.
You cannot get a carry permit in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Even the retired state troopers, nothing.
Terrible.
It is absolutely a disgrace, but you can't carry.
Yeah.
I remember being out in Scotch Bluff. All the ranchers had big rifles on the back of their pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
They used to get out and walk down the street with 6-pack on their hip, 6-shooter.
Andy Hawkins did that.
As long as it wasn't concealed.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
Val,
Today's world,
what's it like today, Val?
Temperature wise or what?
No. 6 packs.
Well, we actually have a senator right now that's trying to get Nebraska free from where everybody can carry if they want.
Free state.
Yeah, so he's working on that right now. So
Yeah,
right
open
now,
carry.
yeah, right now I need to take another class or so I can get a carry permit right now. But it's not a big deal out here. You just have to go jump through a few hoops. That's about it.
In Arizona,
I did that when I was pledging, Bob. Unless you remember that. You guys
Arizona's
Val,
an open.
Val, do you live in Scotch Bluff?
I live in Gehring.
Oh, in Gehring.
But
Arizona's got open carry, but you can't take a gun into a bank. They're not happy about that. But you can really. We go there. We have a house there. You can carry a gun anywhere you want in outside major cities like Phoenix or that area. But we're on the river there. You can carry a gun and carry it around with you. We go to a restaurant in the morning for breakfast, and this guy's packing right on there. Walking around. But if you do go to a bank, they politely ask you to put it away, take it out.
You never want to open carry anyway. You just become a target. You want to conceal carry.
yeah. Well, fellas, I got to take off to go on the grandkids.
right.
So good seeing you
Okay,
guys.
Val. Good to see you, buddy.
seeing you, Val.
All
Take it
right.
easy.
All right.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
So Andy, all those people that are coming across the border in Arizona, are they going to be able to vote over there now?
I guess. I mean, my daughter lives there, and she can vote. And she moved over there. And
No, I'm talking. Your daughter is an American citizen. I'm talking about all the people that are crossing the southern border.
it's so sad. It really is so sad.
Pathetic.
I mean, they're coming over here, and I don't have any. I have very difficult time with some of the things that are going on. I lived in McAllen, Texas for 2 years, way back 1978, 79. And when I was there, no problems like that, you know. I mean, we used to go to the Peppies on the river, you know, and on the weekend, and everybody get drunk and get in the boats and go up and down what was left of the Rio Grande, because you can walk across anywhere down there.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. And but you're taking your life in your hand. It's terrible. This, you know, you see what's going on. And I don't have any friends who live there anymore, but they said just don't go, don't. You can't. They even have repercussions for people that have done something wrong, and they come over the border to punish them. So the cartels and things like that. Not a good situation. And then they have this. I guess somebody wants to put, you know, walls or fences up so people can't go across. What about all these people who've got resorts on the river, who've got anything on the river that has to do with the river, making money, farming, and all that? They're going to block people from going into the Rio Grande River. No,
there are no easy solutions.
No, there is no easy solution.
You know, but you got to think about, you know, for some of these people that, you know, come from Central America and South America all the way through Mexico, how bad their life must be
Yeah,
in order to take,
the
you know,
risk.
a 4-year-old or a 2-year-old or pregnant and try and make that trek.
Yeah.
You know, because it's coyotes that are taking them and, you know, taking their money and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. It must, you know, must be really hard lives. I don't know. You know,
It's a long walk.
It is a long walk,
Yeah.
long hard walk.
well, listen, have you guys heard of?
I'm not sure.
Have you guys
I'm
heard
not-
of Chat GPT or DAL-E? Well,
No.
GPT. I'll go into a screen share and I'll show you. These two things are artificial intelligence,
Oh, yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
and Chat GPT is basically textual.
Right.
Not basically, it is textual, no graphics or anything, and you can ask it to do anything you want. You can have a conversation with it. You can ask it to write a limerick for you. You can ask it to write a story about, you know, give me a 3-page paper on Lewis and Clark, and write it like I was a high school senior, or write it like I'm, you know, a history professor, and it produces it. I'll show it to you.
Some
And the
kids
other
are
ones-
flunked using it though.
or you can use it for research. You know, I've got a nephew that has pulmonary fibrosis,
Hmm.
and that happens to be an incurable disease and so forth. And so I went in and I said, you know, with pulmonary fibrosis, you know, describe the 4 stages or 5 stages of progression. What are the latest results for research, et cetera, and it just starts writing. Produces, you know, a complete paper, even scientific journals, all sports things, all kinds of things are having, you know, trouble, especially in colleges, with kids using it to write their papers and so forth. So, but there's that.
Maybe.
And then the DAL-E does the same thing, except it will create whatever picture you want it to create. So I could say, you know, I want a picture of Herb Megden standing on a mountain in south central Mississippi.
Oh, don't
suddenly
do
it
that to
produces
Herb.
Good
6
luck.
pictures. You know, it creates them. It doesn't go find them. It creates them. And you know, you can never do anything. My wife did one the other day. She was looking for something with a painting. And so finally she got on it and she said, give me a picture of a cardinal sitting in a tree in the wintertime, as though is an oil painting. And then she did it again as if it was a watercolor and so forth. And produces these pictures.
Was it a priest?
What is it again?
Yeah, well, here, let me do a screen share.
Well, the one where you were talking about the papers being written. There's
Yeah.
another company coming out that they were going to sell software that would, like, they would sell it to schools and colleges that would identify if the student wrote it or if this program wrote it.
Yeah.
You know, there have been some attempts at that with some successes, but professors are also doing things like saying, all right, here's your paper. You must write your first class here in, your first draft in class. And then from there, you can go, wherever you want to do it. But when you hand in your final paper, you must explain which changes you made in your first draft and why you made them. And that has to be done in class.
Yeah.
So, profs are getting smarter in terms of that. And let me share this.
Can you ask that thing?
Okay, here happens to be an article on aortic stenosis. And what I asked it was, I said, give me an aortic stenosis severity table. For various reasons, and what's the life expectancy, and it generates this. So I'll tell you what, somebody give me a question, something. What do you want me to put in there?
Yeah, can they identify the relatives of the person of that sword? Could you ask that?
That's a darn
Here,
good
we'll do
question.
this.
Burrell, you get an A.
Yeah, that'd be the first one.
I'm still waiting.
I had one in my
I
career.
had a couple.
I had one.
All right, now it's typing on the screen. And it's generating this as you go.
Such as
In this
Bob
case, it's
Burrell.
important to respect people's privacy. Now that they're enhancing this and changing it all the time. But they finally say, if you want to know that, reach out to Bob Burrell or his family directly. Let's see, I'll get rid of that one. Let's see if we can find a new chat.
And this is called Chat GPT.
It's called Chat, CHAT,
Right.
GPT.
George Peter Thomas.
Here, let me do this.
Delete Bob Burrell.
Okay, so let me change that. But it's writing all this, and he was a fur trader and so forth. But let me stop that. You can tell it how many pages you want. Let's see.
What was life like in Scottsbluff in 1855? Oh, they were on the trail.
So I just threw in Hiram Scott College, named after Hiram Scott, and it's writing this as it goes.
Died in 1828.
28. Wow.
1828.
Oh, they got that wrong.
And then
It was established in 1919. I'm not that old.
You look great.
so, but you can ask it anything you want.
Can you ask it the value of your sword? Will they appraise your sword?
Would they appraise the sword? Let's see.
Wouldn't it depend on how you describe it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I just showed you the one on Hiram Scott, And so you can regenerate the response, you can change it. And well, I won't go into that, but you can do anything. It's fun to play around with because you would be surprised, what you can do. Now they've found things where, they've had to make a lot of changes to it because suddenly there was lots of misinformation coming and false information. And, sometimes somebody would type something in and it would come back and say, you're a racist. It's really none of your business. And all kinds of things. But this is being built into, while it's being sold now to various companies to build into the, Microsoft has a similar one that they're building into their search engine. Google has one that they're building into their search engine to where instead of just typing something to search, you can ask it to produce the information instead of just a list of links. But so this is that Chat GPT. This one is DALLE2. And that's what you type is just, when you're searching for it, DALLE2 and DALLE2. Now, these pictures that you see didn't exist before the person looking at them, or before the person described them. So let's see if we say, just a minute here.
I hate to
Type in
see
lemon meringue pie.
Pardon?
I type in, what does the lemon meringue pie look like? I've got that on my mind lately.
No, Andy, you mistake. It's not going to tell you something. It will paint a picture like this person
paint a picture of it, exactly.
said, an armchair in the shape of an avocado. Somebody typed that in, and that's what it produced.
Okay.
Somebody said, give me a goldfish with rainbow colors or something in a fishbowl. A 3D render of tropical or
I can see
painting.
I can see pornography getting their hands on this.
I'm sure that they're probably way ahead of the game. Let's see.
That's amazing.
Let's see here.
I'm glad we're this old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all you got to do is just type this.
Yeah, I just typed in
Down,
Fence
dot,
Bluff,
E.
and he bluffs at sunrise. And you click on generate.
Is there a charge for this?
No. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's still free. Now, these pictures that are just brought up, it didn't go get pictures somewhere. These are things it created based on what I said. The chat GPT, I think, or maybe it's this one, or one of them is like $4 a month if you want unlimited. You can do, I don't know, 20 or 40, for free, but
I hate a computer smarter than me.
Last night I had a problem with my new phone, and I did something stupid about 1 o'clock in the morning and caused me to freak right out. And of course, I called Samsung. It was a brand new Samsung phone. And said I was having some trouble, and they said, "No, they came back. We're closed. But you can go into AI." And I was going in the AI, having a conversation with what I thought was somebody in a remote, in a house somewhere. And at the end, it says, "Thank you for, by the way, it worked. It took care of my problem. And by the way," it said at the end, it says, "Thank you for using our AI. What did you think of that?" There was no human.
yeah.
That one time was I talking to a human, and I kept asking him questions and said, "Well, did you do this? Did you get this password? Did you do that?" And finally, I figured it all out. Boy, it was important.
Well, here I said I went Alaska Highway in the winter with a moose, and it brought up 4 pictures. And
Andy, that artificial intelligence you were talking about Did it have an Indian accent?
No, no, it may, I don't know.
You.
Uh, but, or if you change that to,
It'd be interesting to see if it had colloquialisms or you know something that would indicate something like that. You know, with a regional content. You know, like you all. You know, how do you say hi in Texas?
I typed in hunter shooting a moose on the Alaska highway.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So here's a guy shooting it with a camera,
Aha.
and that's what it's doing with each one.
You have to be real specific.
Yeah, the more specific you get, but you know, it can do any of these kind of things. It's the more you describe it, you can say the same thing. And,
Okay. You got my interest. I'm giving my
and
pen out.
say,
You're gonna start writing this shit down.
and oil.
Wow.
Oh, one of them is called Dell. What? DELL.
DA, A is an apple. Here,
It's on the screen.
see, here it is.
Oh, there it is. Dow.
Dell E2. So where you might type google.com or something that way, you just type Dell-E2.
Uh-huh.
Or if you're going to Chat GPT, you just type Chat GPT. Now they may ask you to try Chat GPT, and you're going to set up a an account. It's no charge for it, but and it has all of these kind of things. Explain quantum computing in simple terms. Creative ideas for a birthday. I mean,
You know, I use Grammarly, which I think is fabulous for me because my spelling is atrocious, and sometimes it just doesn't come out the way I want it to. And they come up with some interesting things how to change something in a. If you put down, that's wonderful. You know, they say, well, why don't you say, you know, so they give you a number of different choices. I love it, and every month it tells you whether how your vocabulary is or how often you make mistakes. Very interesting. Called Grammarly. It's not free. It's about $100 a year for the big major version. But anything you write on the computer, emails or that it corrects it for you.
yeah. So here I just write a limerick about a college student. There once was a college student so bright whose studying went well into the night, but come Friday at 3, the student was free to party and let loose till daylight. And it didn't go find one; it wrote one. Now, if I said,
That's because it was Hawkins' birthday this week. So they
about
wrote.
yeah.
I
So-
sent him a birthday note, and I said, "You're going to come on the call with us." No response.
Yeah. So those are two things you might find interesting to play along. The Chat GPT and DALL-E, and like I say, one is for pictures. DALL-E is for pictures, and Chat GPT is, whether you're asking it to write limericks or, give me, for instance, here you go. This one would be for.
It'd be interesting, Bob, if they could he could type in that guy's name and the unit that he's in and find out information.
Or just say who was in that unit.
Mm-hmm.
As you see, they're making stuff up. So how can it be reliable?
Morris, what country invented this?
China.
Microsoft. Well, actually, it's OpenAI, which is an American. It was a
Bill
small
Gates.
startup. Microsoft is in the process of trying to buy OpenAI for something like $60 billion. but others, Google is doing its own. Microsoft is, seeking to buy this one, and they're also doing their own, a separate one to put into their search engine. And there are several others that are now beginning to pop up. You can go out and license this. They will sell you on a license basis, like a word processor, but sell you on a license basis the core engine to this, and you can create your own, and
So you
Oh.
can't copyright anything. If you write something, anybody can snatch it, and they can't catch you as far as your copywriting.
well,
Because
I don't think those issues have even been requested, because if you request something and I request something on the same thing, or if I even request it twice with worded a little bit differently, the answer is going to come up different. I don't know that you could copyright it. I mean, the code you could, but what you get out of it, what a person gets out of it, they would patent the computer programs that are producing this.
That's interesting. I have a cousin whose son graduated in DC and is now a copyright judge. He goes in and he does all makes judgments against copyright, and does pretty well for himself for a young guy. But I'm going to ask him about this. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Oh, we're back together.
yeah, I dropped out of that, but I thought that's something that if you haven't seen it, you would find interesting. And
I've never seen it, so this is really good. This is interesting.
and like I say, it's everything that it generates is generated on the fly. At the time you ask it, it doesn't go get something out of its memory. Like if you use Google, it just goes and it gets something out of a huge database based on keywords, and it brings back all the things that are on the keywords. And the better you describe it in Google, the more accurate, responses you'll get. But here, there's no database that it's drawing from. It's creating, both what it writes and what it draws, based on its own algorithms.
That in itself is a little scary.
Yeah.
What it can
Imagine
write.
Well, they've discovered there were guys, girls, I don't know, but there were people who were going in and doing.
What's your pronoun, Morris?
Presenting it with misinformation,
Mhm.
and getting all kinds of things and inappropriate answers, and so
What about slander and libel and all this stuff that they could come up with, and saying, and spreading rumors? God forbid, I mean, this is all going to be very, very serious stuff.
well, listen, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know you'll find this hard to believe, but there were some very unfavorable descriptions of Mr. Trump when it first came out. And people would type something, and it would come back and say, certain things, and
Shocking.
there were others, on all kinds of topics that it was inappropriate, because people are writing the code, but they aren't controlling what it produces. And so then they have to go in and they have to start refining their code, to, not do racist, like remember the one I got at the beginning when I said, what about Bob Burrell's relatives? Well, they've now put something in where it says, that's really kind of a personal question. Maybe you should go ask Bob Burrell. So
What about it, Bob?
Be
Don't
looking
open
for
it up,
all
boy.
that.
this thing is only about 60 days old, that it's come to the internet, maybe less.
That's pretty incredible. Imagine all of the mining it'll do of our data when we join it.
Yeah, well, it just
Yes.
goes to Facebook, and they probably got it all anyway.
Yes.
This is
So,
a
and
Facebook.
Facebook's developing its own also. So soon they'll have it, and you'll be able to say, in fact, I don't know what would happen if I said, show me a picture of John Archibald. I don't know what it would do. I don't want to break it.
I mean,
You don't want to break it.
your computer will break,
Yeah, yeah.
it'll melt.
Yeah.
He'll say the same thing. It's too personal. You have to talk to him to get a picture.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking we must be a bunch of boring guys. Everybody keeps dropping off. It's down to 6 of us. It used to be 12, 14 guys. Now it's down to 6 of us.
Yeah.
We must be boring.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's a whole lot more than 6 people in our fraternity over the 4 years and 5 years that it was existing, and nobody stays on. There's some people I thought would be on here, Jim
Yeah.
Roberto.
Well, some
Delano.
people are, traveling like I know Pete is, I think at this point. And listen, it goes out to 27 people, the note.
Mhm.
And
Sav's
I think
probably
the most we've
talking to
ever
the
had was
homecoming queen.
at the very beginning, towards the very beginning, about 15, a
Mhm.
couple of the early ones.
What did you say about Sam?
I said Sav is probably talking to the homecoming queen. We've
Yeah.
already gotten stood up once for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know, guys. It's I'm glad I'm the age I am
yeah.
Yep.
because
No doubt about it.
it'd be tough.
Hmm.
You figure I'm probably the oldest of the group, and
How old are you, Gary? How old are you?
78,
That's what I am.
79 in September.
Okay, you're a little older than I am.
So, it just wow. I was around when no TVs. I mean, we used to sit and listen to the Long Ranger on radio.
When you talk
Good
about
stuff.
age, it brings me back to Paul Hazel. Where is he? What's he doing?
Yeah.
That Paul Hazel. Where was he from? Oh, I can probably look up
In Boston.
in the.
Yeah, I think he was from Boston. He
Yeah.
certainly had an accent.
Yeah. For whatever reason, some people just aren't interested. I know Pete's talked to Ron Herzog a number of times.
Yeah.
And Andy or Dan Omer, has the medical problem. And minor say
Yeah.
it's better, but
Is
that's
he
why.
getting better? Is he getting better?
I think if he was better, he probably would chime in because
Yeah.
he
All I
was
can-
in on a few of them. And, if you can't hear, you're at a disadvantage
Oh,
to
yeah.
Yeah.
get
Sure.
involved. So
Well,
hopefully he
Dan?
comes back cured.
Somebody
wrong,
had told me
Dan?
that he had regained a little bit of hearing, a small amount. I did send him an email a couple of weeks ago, but never got a response. And that may be because he's not going on the computer too. I don't know.
So Herb, he had an unexpected major hearing loss.
What caused it?
He didn't know, they didn't know. And I had said to Morris, I chatted with him via email and a little bit has come back, but and he would try to get on next time, but it's very hard sometimes to hear for us, when people are talking. So if you're hearing impaired, until that gets cured, it would be difficult to be on this.
Yeah.
Hey, I wonder if that new this Dell thing or this chat thing can form signs. For
Do sign
Nephi.
language.
Yeah, like
Closed
sign language.
caption.
Yeah, well, not so much that as, but yeah, I suppose that would be good too if you didn't hear.
Morris,
But,
do you have that list that you sent out before with like the email addresses? Can you
Yeah.
send that out again?
Yeah, Herb, when you get the email,
Yeah.
there's all the
Everyone's on
emails
there.
that sent to, all the email addresses there, but I'll send you a spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you a spreadsheet. Yeah, I don't think they could do, on what you're talking about, Andy, on either one of those to use ASL. Can you translate video into ASL or that type of thing? I don't think it can do
or
that.
language, how about that? You want to put it into Chinese or you want to, or anything else? I think
Yeah.
that's very interesting. I'm sure
I'm
it'll all
surprised
come.
Zoom doesn't have closed captioning.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I don't know, but and you know,
That's a
I don't
shame.
know, but I think all this is past me, to be honest. Yeah.
I just find it interesting.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and well, you should.
But you know, because also, you know, like I said, it's less than 60 days out in the public, and if you stop and look at a year from now, it will be. Let me see if there's one other. I want to see if there's one other thing I can show you. Okay, yeah, there is. Let me. Yeah, here's what I want. Let me go back into a share mode to share my screen again. And this is available now. All right, if you can see the screen, you see a guy on the screen here?
Yeah.
All right, and so I'll play his message. Oh,
There have been more than 600 mass shootings in the United States this year, which means there is an average of more than one mass shooting every day, and gun violence has killed nearly 40,000 people. Hello, everyone.
or there's this woman.
That's not enough facts.
Oh, let me get her.
Issues in China-US relations and major global and regional issues. This meeting is of great significance. Great power cooperation will inject new vitality into world development. After 3-hour stops, the two heads of state exchanged candid and in-depth.
Now, the purpose of showing you this, that is not a real person. Remember how I generated images in DALL-E?
Yeah.
These are not real people, they're generated images. And there are now, this Wolf News is putting out disinformation campaign, you know, news stories, and they're using this, you know, they generate these images that look like real people. And I've seen a couple of them already on the internet in different places. But that's when you start taking and you describe, okay, create, I would like a 24-year-old female with blonde hair, brown hair, you know, whatever you want, and describe what you want. And you can then take that and put it in and create a movie, a broadcast, you know, whatever you want. And where before, you know, what this does is it cuts out the person in the middle with a conscience, and
And a contract.
this thing say anything you want, and people don't know that it's not real.
You can go to
They're gonna have
CNN
to
or
have-
MSNBC and get that.
Yeah.
They're going to have to come up with a filter that tells you that somewhere on there says this is an AI, not necessarily accurate or something like that, because otherwise you won't know what to believe anything. You don't know what anything.
Andy, that's one solution. Whether everybody would be of good character and pay attention to it is another thing. You know, how it can be used. Think about the War of the Worlds with Orson Welles. If there had been this type of technology and they brought it on, they could show the alien ship landing in the background, and you know, people doing the broadcasts from Radio City Music Hall, and none of it would be real. But yet it's
Well,
not.
the aliens are coming across the Rio Grande. That's all right.
But yeah, but this, you know, is the kind of thing where you don't need a movie studio, you don't need actors
Mm-hmm.
to create these kind of things. And so this is like, Andy, you're talking, this kind of thing is going to present a real challenge going forth for people to, you know, what am I seeing? Is it true or is it not true? Is it real or not real?
Because this thing says Wolf News. Who knows
Yeah,
if
well,
there's
Wolf
a
News.
real? Who knows if there's a real Wolf News?
Yeah, there is. There is.
Oh, is there?
And this and they are notorious for putting out misinformation. I believe they're out of California, actually, and they are notorious for putting out, false stories and so forth. And instead of just text that somebody reads, they're beginning to do it now using this technology as actual news stories. And so if somebody didn't know the difference, oh well, yeah, I saw it on the news. The commentator was actually talking about it, and it just adds an element to it of potentially believability.
I'm just Dan, whatever you call it, one of these guys in the news and says, "Okay, I'm going to prick my finger so you can see the blood coming out. So I am really real." And then, of course, they'll probably fabricate that anyway.
Yeah. Well, this is still, a ways off, but within the next 2 years, it'll be a significant problem. Because on this, the first time I saw her or it in an actual news article thing, I said, she didn't look like she's real, and they will get better and better at that. They do it as kind of a monotone because they're not good at creating inflection in the speech yet and things that way. So as they begin to refine those kind of things, it also says that the Oscars in Hollywood will eventually go away because there won't be any people making movies. It'll all be generated.
I don't think there's anybody that watches those anyway. The Grammys and the.
Yeah.
Nope.
So I take you back to a larger screen. So at any rate, that's there's a couple of things that I thought might be a little entertaining.
Yeah.
Thank you.
tried it.
Very much.
Thank you. You hear a lot about it, but
Yeah.
I had no idea that was out there.
And obviously I have way too much time on my hands.
Obviously.
You can go on trying to find a relative of that guy in the sword. You can go on Google and ask it to. There are services that if you put in a name, they'll bring up all their records and
I've looked
their
at
children.
those, Bob, and
I
to no
forget.
avail. In fact, what I did to start, because it was a National Guard unit, I didn't know it was National Guard, but I found out it was New York National Guard, and I brought up their list, and that's where I got this guy in the Army, and he told me that now it was changed to a full U.S. Army in 1939, and he said, I don't know whether that guy was in it, but he had the list of 1939 and since 1939 in that unit, and he wasn't in there anywhere. And I asked him, and he was going to check a couple of things, but I haven't heard back from him.
Question for you: Where did your son find the sword?
In New Jersey.
In
North-
where in a house that they were tearing?
No, it was a construction site. He's a plumber and a welder and a foreman for a company, and they were excavating stuff, and he found the sword.
Wow.
Oh wow, guys, I'm gonna have to go.
Okay.
I will. Dinner's calling, and I'm hungry. So,
Right.
and but I'll keep me posted for next month. And in the meantime, I might send you something, and it might be me, and it might not be me.
Okay.
Have a good night, Andy.
Hey,
Take
thanks
care,
a lot,
Andy.
guys. All right.
Yeah, good night.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, Bob, I've tried a couple of those things, and periodically, I go try another one. I have my daughter, working on it, because she retired about 2 years ago from military after 25 or 27 years, and so I figured she should know her way around.
I've been able to find 2 or 3 people that I knew in high school through that thing.
Wow.
You can buy onto the service for a month, or you can do 3 months or a year. But it's amazing all the records that are out there that they can track somebody down.
Yeah. Now, which ones were you talking? Were you successful with, Bob?
I don't remember the site. I just remember Googling and looking for services that can track people.
Well, I know I've done some of that. I got a nephew that owns shopping centers for a living, and he periodically has somebody skip out on him, and just leaving, maybe they owe him 50,000 or 100,000. And so every once in a while he comes to me and he says, "Can you find this guy? We can't find him." And I've found a couple of people, that wound up down in Florida, another one that wound up in Mississippi. One guy was a cleaners, and he just simply locked the door. Or no, Danny got he locked the door, but then a couple of days later, Danny got a letter in the mail, and it had the key to the door, and it said, "Whatever his name was has died. Here's the key." And unfortunately, it was an Indian name that was very, very common, like Patel, or something. And you try and find somebody like that. And I was actually able to find him down to where he had once inhabited in North Brunswick, but wasn't there anymore. And what Danny thinks is they just, he owed a lot of money and he just disappeared. And I went to the town to see, what they had for his business license. And oh, what a surprise! He never applied for a business license. He'd been there 10 years. And
Listen,
so,
guys, I gotta go. My dog is jumping up and down at me.
Yeah.
All right, Herb.
I'm to go out. Let's talk to you next month.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Looking
guys
forward
take it
to
easy.
it, Herb.
Good to see you again.
Good looking for
Take
it.
care.
So I've done some of that, trying to chase people down and those paid services. And, by and large, I've found them to just throw so much stuff at you that it's not worthwhile. Things like Facebook searches and other thing are somewhat better. Gary, I like
The ones I've used,
ancestry.com.
the ones I've used, like if I'm looking for somebody in high school, I'll put this person's name in, and I'll say they went to my high school and they lived in Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, 1962. And it's amazing. They can give you traffic records, court records, whether you've been divorced. I mean, it's incredible. They'll give you, if you sign up for it, they'll give you their current address, their phone number. I mean, it's amazing the information they have on you out there.
Is that stuff expensive to do?
Some of
No,
it.
I think it was like for a month you could do like $14 and something, and maybe you could do 100 people or something.
Yeah, but if it's like Gary, I searched for you for years, but how many Gary Joneses are there?
I was running from the.
Yeah.
No, but if you would have said Gary Jones, Hiram Scott College, 1967, whatever other general information you had about him, they would find him.
Yeah.
I need to do that for Ron Sharonicki. I would like to find that guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll keep searching, and I'll send you the information on this guy, with the sword.
Okay.
So
speaking of swords, my father went to Japan and for some business meeting, and the Japanese are always famous for giving you gifts and things like that. And they gave him this, like, I think it was a samurai sword or something. Now, samurai swords are pretty long. Anyway, it was a sword. So when my father passed away, my sister decided she wanted that sword. She goes on an airplane with this sword, and they let her. She talked them in. She said, "There's no way I'm letting this sword go through general luggage." She said, "You can have it. You can put it wherever you want, but she talked him into allowing her to walk on that plane with that sword.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know if they had control of it, but
How
he
long
wasn't letting
ago
it go
was that?
through baggage. How long?
Yeah, how long ago? Because they wouldn't let it.
15, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They were still pretty tough even then.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously couldn't carry a gun on or something like that.
Yeah.
How
Bob,
about that guy with the explosives in Pennsylvania
yeah.
getting on the plane and his baggage? Thank God they have some sort of detector before it goes in the plane as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they tried to find him and he realized they found the bag, he departed. He took off.
Yeah. They paged him. He took
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Excuse me, was the gentleman who had the bomb in his bag customer service? You know.
Oh, what
uh,
did they think paging him would do?
I
Tell
have
him to
no
get the
idea.
hell out.
That's called
Yeah.
artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
You know, Bob, you mentioned Japan. My older brother, Jim, built museums, art museums, photographic museums all over the world.
Wow.
He took the first show, Fine Arts Photography, to Japan. I don't know how many years ago this was, but it could have been 15, 20 years ago. And was meeting with the mayor of Tokyo, and they had a big dinner and so forth. And they gave him a plaque that, when he came back, they gave him this plaque honoring him. And the plaque, of course, is in Japanese. He doesn't speak and so forth, but he knew what the translation was. The plaque is normally given to corporations and businesses because they get honored and individuals don't get that kind of honor. And
yeah.
read his, and it says something about, I don't remember exactly, but something about, to the Honorable James Inyard for his service to Tokyo. And then under it, it says, he is a human being. That's normally where they would put a corporation. And they didn't know what to put on that line. So they just, he is a human being.
That's
It's a big honor, though.
Yeah. 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 It may be the only one that they've given that was to a human being.
I still like that one painting that you have.
Oh, Nero?
Yeah, Nero.
I'll tell you what, I'll take a picture of it, Gary, and the next meeting we have, I'll display it.
This,
When my brother graduated college, he was given a fellowship to the University of Chile in Santiago. And so he and his wife went there for a year. And part of the agreement at that time, he wasn't doing photography as much as he was painting. And the agreement was he had to give them 7 paintings, which they would then tour throughout Chile and some other countries in South America. Well, he decided to leave after 8 months and come back to the US. And so they gave him back 4 of the paintings, they gave him back 3 of the paintings. They kept the other 4. And this was one of the paintings. And it's a picture of, or it's a painting of Nero, only he's very large and has the haunches of a pig. And he's holding up his hand, squeezing the grapes, and running out of it. And it was Nero was slovenly and he squeezed the life out of the people and, all of that kind of stuff. But that's been hanging on my wall, it's still hanging on my wall. I stopped to visit him one time and he insisted I take it with me.
I thought it'd be a picture of Rome burning in the background.
Yeah, no. But no, he's now in a dementia facility down in by DC. And so no.
How long has he been there, Morris?
Well, they lived in New Mexico and it was there and one there for 2 different ones for about a year. And they just weren't working out. So they moved him to this one in by DC, where his daughter lives and works. And that's been great. And he's been down there for 3 years now.
Wow.
But listen, my mother was in a dementia facility for 10 years.
Wow.
So unfortunately, if you're in good health, you know, you just continue right on. But
That disease is harder on the family members than it is on the person, because the person really doesn't know what's going on.
yeah, right.
Very hard on the family.
He's nonverbal and so forth. He knows who I am. But if, I went in and, talked to him for a while and walked out and came back in an hour later, he wouldn't know I was there the previous hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I'm
But-
starting to go through this with my cousin.
Yeah.
We're the only two relatives left since Barry is gone. And our mothers were sisters. And so she's the only one, and I'm the only one. And she was never married, never had kids. And she has dementia, congestive heart failure, pacemaker.
Oh.
I could go on and on.
Yeah.
And I was in to see her yesterday, and we're talking. She says, "You got to get rid of those people that are living in the back room of the house." I mean, nobody's living in the house.
Yeah.
She's accused people of coming in, stealing stuff, and going out. And she was just in the hospital for about 4 days recently. She just went back to a rehab center today. But we were talking to like a psychiatrist, and he says they actually believe in real time that things like that are happening.
Mhm.
People are stealing from them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you arguing with them has nothing to do with it.
Right.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, a humorous thing
Huh?
happened with my mother. She was in the dementia facility, and at that point, she still had language. She just didn't know who people were. And my younger brother was telling me about it, David. He and her husband were there with her, and they were talking to her. And all of a sudden, she stopped and she said, "Do you see that guy over there?" And it was an orderly that worked in the place. And, David says, "Yeah." And her husband says, "Yeah." And she says, "I'm going to marry him."
Well, when she first got to the hospital,
David thought it was funny. Her husband didn't think it was very funny, but I mean,
4
she
days, 4
she
days
has no
ago,
idea. I remember her asking me, "Which one are you?" And those kind of things. So, but it's part of the disease. It's not a good thing.
No.
Yeah.
just the other day when she went from the rehab back into the hospital, she went like this. "Come here, I want to tell you something." I said, "Okay, what do you have?" She said, "There's a 10-foot woman out there in the hall." And I mean, part of the program is just, and she believed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real to them.
Yeah.
No.
And that's really, really a shame. She can coordinate. She knows who I am. But still, I deal with it almost every day now.
I go down and see him once in a while, and he knows who I am when he sees me.
Mhm.
He'll go like that. Meaning I love you, and so forth. But when I'm gone, if I go back, if I go to eat and come back an hour later, he doesn't know I was there before. But listen, his daughter's giving him really good care. She takes him out of the facility a couple of times a week, and he's actually
That's good.
health-wise, mentally-wise, improved. But he's never going to get better.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
At any rate.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, Gary.
Till next month.
Okay.
Enjoy yourself.
The good Lord willing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The good Lord willing is right.
Yeah.
I'll send that spreadsheet with the everybody's email address on it, And so for
Send
those,
that,
get
yeah,
that to everybody. And
I'm
reach out.
gonna have to sign off too, because I'm running out of power.
Yeah.
All right, well then, till next week, guys. I mean, next month.
Yep.
It'll
Sounds
seem
good.
like a
Take
week.
care,
Thanks,
guys.
Morris. Yeah.
So long.
All right, thanks
guys.
again, Morris.
Yep.
Great
Thank
job.
you.